So there's this thing called the transonic region of travel. Mostly has to do with flight. Now you might be familiar with subsonic, which is traveling below the speed of sound, and supersonic, which is traveling faster than the speed of sound. So what is this transonic thing when I talk about traveling in between that? Because you either at the speed of sound, above it, or below it. Well, when an airplane is traveling, some of the air is not all traveling at the same speed. Some of the air going under the wing, for example, might be traveling significantly slower than. Why the fuck is it doing this? So when we talk about travel, especially with flight, there's usually different speed regimes. Supersonic is traveling faster than the speed of sound, people tell you. Subsonic, slower than the speed of sound. But there's this region called transonic, which is in between. But what do I mean by that? Well, transonic, what I mean by in between is that some of the air is actually traveling faster than the speed of sound around the flying object usually, and some of it is slower than the speed of sound. For example, if you look at like an airplane wing, on the flat surface beneath it, air might be traveling slower because it doesn't have to cover as much distance, as if it's traveling air that travels all around, way around the wing, might be traveling faster. If enough of this air is traveling supersonic and subsonic, you get the transonic region. This is the hardest region to fly at in many ways, because supersonic air can't move in the same way, so it becomes more viscous. It becomes it doesn't have can't you don't have like an air bubble pressure pushing air out of the way as much in front of it, and you have more shock waves. And also the dynamicism of it changes. In a subsonic region, air has a lot more time to react and stuff like that. In the transonic region, you can't really model it as either one, and it's also unstable. A very slight change can make air move faster from subsonic to supersonic and vice versa. This could be any maneuver, in maneuvering anything like you're tilting an airplane wing to go up and down or bending craft. It could be like turbulence you hit in air or different air density. It could be buildup of waves, like acoustic vibrations and vibrations from the engine. It could be slight change in speed, could burst it, and these buildups also can cause vortices and turbulence, stuff that can grow and grow, causing even more complex interactions, some of them faster and slower, and that can cause it get out of control quite quickly, making controlling it nearly impossible by conventional means. And it's also just a lot harder to predict all this stuff because you're using different laws and stuff like that. Not only are you using different laws for it, you have additional problems that you can't model it as well because all computer models now are based on all computer models. You have to take into account all the stuff I talk about it, but all computer models are approximations. And now it's hard to approximate such a complex system, and the system is unstable, very unstable. So any approximation you make is more likely to make everything go out of control. It's also harder to not only approximate, but also to find wind tunnels and stuff like that, because there's more variables you have to test that could have a big deal. It's less of a stable system, so you have to test more air pressures or what turbulence or turns, and it doesn't scale as nicely. Wind tunnel models we have to build smaller, and that doesn't apply as well when we know, based on some scaling laws, how small things kind of interact when they become bigger. But those scaling laws can be thrown out of whack with these turbulences and stuff like that. So the whole thing becomes a lot harder too. Now, I want to talk about a way that we might be able to possibly negate some of these problems. And I'm not saying fully negate them, again, but partially negate them. And that one way might be if instead we use first changing wings with some ability to be flexible, not as rigid. High supersonic airflow has more pressure, it compresses stuff, it's more viscous. If you have a surface that, when it's under pressure, compresses itself or changes shape, it might be able to immediately compensate for that a certain change of air being in some ways from subsonic to supersonic. Not only can it become more aerodynamic at supersonic speeds, but might be able to slow that back down to subsonic speeds by making it more flat so it has to take less distance. You might also get rid of pressure buildup in certain areas. It also might fluctuate in such a way by compressing and decompressing that eliminates turbulence. It expands when it needs to expand to eliminate little air vortices and swings when it needs to swing to eliminate air vortices. It makes tiny fluctuations that also deconstructively interfere. Another thing we could do is actually introduce purposeful vortices by throttling the engine to higher and slower amounts, and by vibrating whole structures in these. These little vortices add more noise, but they stop bigger noises and bigger patterns from appearing by quickly switching between subsonic and supersonic things and mixing it up. And so you have not a subsonic or supersonic region. The whole region is a more continuous mixture that's less likely to be disturbed. Well, thank you for listening very much. Please like and subscribe, it really helps channel out. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in a year and 4,000 watch hours, so it's really hard. Really help, I think, into it. Let's see if any of these for future videos, comments, or suggestions, please leave in the comment section below. Again, thank you very much. Goodbye.